Hi there, my name is Charlotte Mallett and I am here with the Stampin' Society this month. We are sharing projects using the new in colors and I've chosen to use these three: Parakeet Party, Tahitian Tide, and this pink, this red pink, which is called Sweet Sorbet. And we're gonna make this cute card, Hip Hip Hooray, this fun birthday card, using the Parakeet Party, the Tahitian Tide, and that Sweet Sorbet. The stamp set is Good Feelings, and we're going to be using this and this. Let's get started. First, you're going to need the Hip Hip with your Stamparatus. If you have a Stamparatus, a stamp alignment tool, and you're going to want a sheet of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 basic white cardstock. We're going to nestle that down in the corner, just like so. Use our magnets to hold it into place. Now, the Hip Hip, I've placed it onto the Stamparatus and picked it up with the plate like so. I've lined it up right in the middle of this bottom bracket here. You can, and I've also lined it up on the plate. I've lined it up in the center of this bracket, and I've used the grid lines, the bottom of the grid line and the side of the grid line, to line up the words Hip Hip. We're going to be using the hinge step, and so it's important that your first lineup is accurate so that your hinging, your steps are accurate. And we'll start with Tahitian Tide, and we're going to ink everything up with Tahitian Tide first. What we're going to do, flip open the Stamparatus, ink it up, press it down. Step number 1, lift the plate, slide it into the next position, ink it up again, stamp it in place. Look, we have a little bit of a hiccup. Press that down again, hinge it up, ink, stamp, move it up, ink, stamp, and one last time, move it up, ink. I need to slide this down just a little and stamp. There we go, all lined up, beautiful. Now we are going to move our paper up so that the Hip Hip lines up perfectly inside of these spaces here. So let's quickly do that. We'll clean the stamp first. We're going to start on the second step, right, like so. But we need to move this piece up just a little bit. Now, with this stamp centered between this bracket here, we can center the negative space between this bracket here, and hopefully they'll line up. Now, I have a little trick to show you. If you're worried that they're not going to line up, take a basic cello bag. So first, let's place our magnets back down, hold that in place. We'll line up a cello bag right here. Very similar to how you used to use this Stamp-A-Majig. We're going to ink that up with Parakeet Party, stamp it, and we're going to make sure that it lines up in the center. Now, it looks like our paper is just a hair down, so we're going to just shift that up just a little. There we go, so that it looks like it is centered. That looks good. Place our magnets back down, and now we can go to town stamping. So we'll ink it up with Parakeet Party, stamp, perfect, look at that. Hinge step up, ink that up again. Be wary of ink getting on the edge of your stamp. so you don't get that halo. We'll ink it again. This is where if you have smaller Stampin' Spots, so you have a small stamp like this, they work really good. And one more, like so. Perfect. So cute. All right, let's move on to the next step. All right, let's pull this out. We're going to trim it. Here's the card for an example, but we're going to trim it down to approximately 2 1/4 by 5 1/4, thereabouts. Okay, so we'll trim on either side. Just like so, equal distance on either side there. This one, yep, very good. We'll move the Stamparatus out of the way, as we're not going to need that anymore. Now, we are going to start to build the card front. You're going to need a piece of 4 1/4 by 11. We're going to score that right in the middle at 5 1/2, and fold that piece of Parakeet Party cardstock in half. Just using our bone folder, just like so. We're also going to want a sheet of, this is the In Color Designer Series papers, 6 by 6. So there's one of every single In Color in here, 4 patterns. And we're going to take the Parakeet Party and we're going to take the plaid. We're also going to need a sheet of the Sweet Sorbet with the flowers, so we might as well take that out now. This piece is also 2 1/4, so we're just going to trim 2 1/4, just like so, 2 1/4 by 6. Now what I did on this card is 1 ski wampus this way, 1 ski wampus this way, and then I just trimmed the excess off the top. So we can do that now. We'll mount this one here, and we'll mount this one here, just slightly over the top. A little bit of adhesive. I'll just run adhesive on the top here. This piece, just like so. And then this piece is equal distance from the both sides there. And then we'll take our scissors and just quickly trim off the excess on the back side. Easy. Now let's make our flowers. A tip I have for you on the flowers, I'm going to use this flower punch here. This flower punch punches a large, a small, and 2 leaves. We're going to want large flowers from the pattern paper, small flowers from the solid paper, and then varying sizes of leaves from the Parakeet. So what you're going to want to do, this is approximately, I don't know, 1.5 inches. So let's cut a 2-inch strip from here. Maybe 1 3/4 inches. We don't need much. This is going to allow us to punch out that flower without a lot of waste. So let's punch out 3 of these. 1, 2, and 3. Get rid of all those extra bits. And we'll do the same thing with the smaller piece of Sweet Sorbet. We only need about 1 inch. We want 3 of the smaller flower. 1. And clean all that up. Okay. And then with a little bit of the Parakeet Party, we're going to do the leaves. The leaves run right through the middle, so we can do 2 at once if we just cut a little strip off of here. Saving cardstock, that's what we want. So we're going to do 1, another 1, 2, 3 small leaves, and then come to the other side here. We'll do 3 larger leaves. 1, line all those up. Excellent. And now we're going to build our flowers. I'm going to take our bone folder. We're going to curl the edges of each of those petals just inward slightly. Same thing with the pattern paper, flower side up. And now we'll assemble those flowers. We'll take our adhesive, run a little daub on the back side of the smaller sweet sorbet flower, tack that down into the center. And then on the back, we'll take ourselves a longer strip on the back, and we're just going to tack the larger leaf, and a smaller leaf. Now if we need to bend those up again, you can. And there's flower number 1. We got to put some embellishments in the center, but let's make the rest of these really quick. Now you can pull your bone folder back in and shape those leaves up and petals up if you need to do that a little bit more once they're assembled. Very good. Yeah, those look nice. And then we're going to add a little flower center. Now, one of the fun things that is a new In Color product are these matte decorative dots. They come in every color of the new In Colors. These are the 3 that we're using. And you'll notice that it goes from dark to light, so you have shades of these. We're going to use, for this card I used the lightest, but for this one I'm going to use the second lightest. We're just going to pick up the large, place it in the center. So that large matte decorative dot, and just place it in the center there. Cute. And then you can arrange them on your card. It's okay that the Hip Hip Hooray gets covered a little bit because we have so many of them. So place them like so, matching the card, and we'll tack those down. This is a card that I would say is a hand-delivered card because of the dimension on the front of it. What I mean by that is mailing it will squish these, which is totally fine. You can do that, but hand-delivered, so it'll just sit on top of the gift. Now let's do our hooray. We're going to mount the hooray on a block. We're going to stamp the hooray on just a small piece of basic white cardstock. Let our ink dry, and then we're going to trim that out. I like to cut with my large scissors, but you can use whatever kind of scissors size you like. And we're just going to trim out the hooray I'll speed that up so you don't have to watch me cut the whole thing. Just like so. I like the larger scissors because I can just kind of work it all the way down the edge when I'm trimming. We're going to pop that with some dimensionals. So we'll just use, let's flip that over. And then we will position it. I like to use a paper pierce or take your pick tool. And then I'm just gonna nestle that right above the flower there, like so. Tack that down. And we've got a Hip Hip Hooray celebration card. Super cute. You could make a million of these because you saw how quick that the stamping went. Thanks for taking a quick minute to watch along with me. I appreciate your time. My name is Charlotte Mallett, and this was a video tutorial for Stampin' Society. See you next month.